Hello. Hi, I am Velocity, the running sloth, aka Sloth Mom, and one of the 3 guests of honor. The other 2 are supposed to be here, but they are running late from another panel. And the panel is, so your kid is a furry, now what? So I'm going to give you a little background about my family. My daughter, I went on a business trip, and when I came home, my daughter was standing in the hallway in a bunny suit that she had made while I was gone. And then she started gently talking about furries. We had seen a few at Art Prize in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where I was a artist at the show. My background first is I have a high status. I'm floundering. Come here. Now?
Sorry, now.
Now it started. Yeah. Hi, Boozy.
Hello.
Are you coming to this panel too? Yay.
I'm here. Thought it might be fun to have legal team on here.
Yeah,
Hold me accountable.
okay, that's great.
Hi.
So, I have a associate's degree in general studies, a bachelor's degree in arts and sciences, a master's degree in art, and a minor in art history. And I have been an art teacher for 10 years. I just recently retired. Thank you, COVID. My kids literally grew up in art galleries. So when my kid was in the hallway in a bunny suit, it was kind of a normal day for us, right?
Yeah, that wasn't how it happened, but okay.
Okay, she's gonna tell the right story because I'm telling it from my side. You do your side.
So I'm Dapis, and in 14, I took my sister to an anime and general fandom meetup, and she met some furries, and she's like, I love this, and I was like, okay. I want my parents to know I like this. Okay, and so she's like, but I want to make one. I'm like, do it. So I took her to Hobby Lobby and bought her all the supplies to make her own suit. And then me and her went to Disney and to a business trip that she had to go on. And then when we came back, she finished her first suit in like a week. And when my mom walked into the hall after coming back from vacation, there was a giant rabbit sitting in her hallway. And my mother's like, what is this? And I'm like, you like art? Art is good. So there's this place where people go and they get into these giant art sculptures. You see like your daughter is right now. And they dance around in art. And there's big parades of this art. And I definitely gave it to her from that perspective. It is people who have a certain type of style. They like animals. And they all are very individual, and they all have their own way of doing things. And that's kind of how I presented it to her. And then we took her to her first convention, which was Midwest Fur Fest.
The world's largest convention.
And yeah, we introduced her to the entire fandom part of it that way. Probably not the best to go to a big convention first, but it still worked out.
It worked out, yeah. And so the last 9 years, we've been all in. We are now staff at 5 conventions.
7.
And we go to like 7 conventions a year. That's my other daughter. Okay, let's introduce who's on this panel. This is Status the Ferret.
I am Status Ferret. I'm the programming lead for this weekend. I have been doing conventions regularly since I was 17. I finished off my teen years in the fandom. I've wanted to run this panel for a while because I imagine that there is a lot of questions from parents who this is their first convention and know nothing about furry and have seen some things and have read some concerning things. And the idea behind this was to be a nothing is off limits we will tell you the truth of growing up in the fandom and what it is and what it means. Whether that be a good thing or a bad thing is for you to determine.
Yes.
Did you introduce yourself? I'm sorry.
I did. I
Okay,
am
cool.
Velocity the Running Sloth, aka Sloth Mom, and I am one of the guests of honor this week.
I'm Dapist. I'm one of the other guests of honor.
That's my daughter, number 1.
I'm Yave, the other guest of honor.
The other daughter, number 2.
I'm not their daughter. I am Boozy Badger. I'm an attorney. I'm also a father of 4. So that's, I was told my status. I was on this.
Yeah.
We were sitting in our room
Yeah.
like 10 minutes ago, so.
That's how it works.
That's how this works a lot.
I mean, you also bring your kids to conventions too,
Oh,
Lizzie.
duh.
So you also know what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had no plan for this panel. Other than, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Other
You know
than
what?
just, we're gonna answer questions.
Here's a good plan.
Yeah.
You grew up more or less, because when I first met you, Status, you were not 18.
I was not.
Neither was she.
You were,
Neither was she.
yeah,
Yep.
you were the weird kid who ran around after Alkali and me and Zanny.
Yeah.
Where we're like,
Not much has changed, but
Can we go here? We're like, oh, we're gonna go drink now, so you need to go back to the daycare.
yeah.
Did we say that?
No,
but
not in so many words.
I believe last year at this con you called me like Baby Yoda because I'm kind of the orphan baby you adopted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad, Status. I was the you before you were here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask, and Status both, what was it like as because I didn't come into the furry fandom as a youngin'. I came in as a full-grown adult, very confused.
Gonna be real with you, I came in as a not full-grown adult, very confused. Because my first fur convention, I was not a furry. It was AnthrOhio 2018. I went to support my older brother who had been in the fandom, who joined the fandom as an adult, but had been in the fandom for quite some time and had never been to a convention. And basically, I was his cover-up for our parents, because we just told our parents, oh, we're going to like a cosplay Comic-Con convention. They literally just Googled conventions in Pittsburgh that weekend and figured it out. But, so my first convention, I was not a furry. I fell in love with the people and the fan base, and it was interesting. I felt like I was thrown into a world that I knew absolutely nothing and absolutely everything about, and it was fantastic. How about you, Yabe?
Mine was slightly different. My first convention was with the whole family, and we went to MFF 2016.
Your dad did not go to that one.
Yeah, that was after bushwhacking them with a fursuit, and by the time we went there, all 3 of us had fursuits.
Yes, she did make us suits right before we left, so we all had
Yeah.
suits before we went to our first convention.
We were under the very wrong assumption that you had to have a fursuit to be in a convention.
And you
don't.
do not.
You don't. I think less than a third of furries have a suit. It's just a love for the people and the art style and just a love for animals. A lot of what we do is charity, and that.
Charity is a driving factor for most of us. Yeah.
But yeah, as far as being someone under 18 in the fandom, it was about what you expect. It really wasn't that bad. There was a lot of stuff we could do, and since I had my mom with me, even if it was like, whose line, I could still go anyway.
She was 17 and almost 18 when we first started. So as long as her mom was there, she could go into some of the panels.
But yeah, there was still plenty to do, plenty to see.
Yeah. But if it was 21 plus, they would not allow that at all.
No alcohol.
No.
I didn't have that advantage. Of my father didn't start going to cons until I was 18, and even then he doesn't really regularly do them. So I didn't have the advantage of getting to go in with my parents. So not really that it was all that much of an effect on me personally. I don't remember ever being feeling blacked out because I wasn't 18. But yeah. Boozy, you look like you had something to say.
No,
Okay.
I was just going forward.
Okay.
But if it's 18 plus, please let it be 18 plus.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
sometimes
For a
it
lot of
does get to be adult conversations that under 18s probably wouldn't get.
Here is a good example. I tend to be at Furry Square, which is a convention in Wisconsin just about every year is one of the performers. And you notice this weekend, if you see me around, my spouse, my children, they're not with me. Nothing more than we just kind of look at what cons can we bring the whole family to, what cons can't we. When I come out, my oldest is out of the house now, we have 3 kids that we have to corral every time we go somewhere. And with me being on stage a lot, it can be difficult, but we go to Furry Square every year. And every year we bring the kids with us. And the other year, one of my children brought their friend to their first furry convention. And I was in the bathroom of our suite shaving, and I heard them going through the program. And they were picking out what panels they wanted to go to. And one of the panels was something like balloon party. Something along those lines, a balloon party. A panel for enthusiasts of inflation, and about that point, I came running out of the bathroom to grab the schedule away from them and pointed out that next to some of them was a little 18 plus. And that when they're reading the panel, that they need to look at that 18 plus. Because one thing the fandom, especially at all ages conventions, is good about is they will very clearly mark when a panel will have adult content in it. Now, adult content, every time that I say that, someone's like, "Oh, you mean sex stuff?" And they go, "No, adult content like cursing, or adult
Mostly cursing.
or adult content like the performers may have a beer on stage with them. When I perform my comedy stuff, I play the comedic drunk, and I very often will have a glass of whiskey or a can of beer with me when I'm doing that. Those are panels that get marked 18 plus because we want every parent to be aware when they look at that there is content there they may not like their child to see. It's not necessarily anything, Cinemax adult.
This specific con, AnthrOhio, tends to lean more so on the family-friendly programming.
Yep.
Our 18-plus panels are few and far in between. They are usually late at night, and all of them require ID checks.
Yeah.
So we take it incredibly
Very
seriously
here.
As I learned.
I mean, a great example of how they have Convention War Stories, which is like in 2 hours in here.
Yep, in here.
Marked as 18 plus. I'm on
Is
that
it?
panel. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I can tell you why it's marked 18 plus. It's marked 18 plus for language.
Convention War Stories is not 18 plus.
It was marked 18 plus in the pocketbook.
Oh.
No,
Okay.
it's not.
No, I thought it was.
I was gonna say, I remember making that one
Oh,
open.
Well, then Convention War Stories probably should be marked 18 plus for language, but I'll tell everybody else on the panel to watch it. But a lot of times that's what it is. The Late Show tonight, that's 18 plus, and I can tell you specifically language, and there may be a drink on stage. They don't hide the ball on it. If you look at it, you're going to see it very easily. And if you ask somebody in programming or one of the performers, "Hey, why is that marked 18 plus?" Ask us. We'll tell you.
I'm more than happy to explain it.
We're not going to hide the ball on it. I've done 18 plus panels before where the very first words out of my mouth is, "Anybody in here under 18?" No. Somebody always raises their hand, and I go, "Is your parent with you?" And the person right next to them raises their hand, and I go, "Okay." As long as your parent knows what you're here for. But it's very good about it. It is a very family-friendly atmosphere up to a certain time.
About 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I tend to say is it follows the watershed rule, which is an FCC rule about what can and cannot be on primetime television at certain times. And it's before 9 p.m., everything has to be, you can't have this content, this content, this content, or this content. After 9 p.m., the rules loosen significantly, the reasoning being that after 9 p.m.,
Kitty should be
most kids aren't going to be watching primetime
television, and a lot of conventions that I see will follow that rule. There are some conventions I've gone to that are completely family friendly, not a single 18+ panel. There are cons I've gone to that are
Completely 18 plus.
completely 18+.
Motor City is an all-adult.
Yes.
And that's mostly for booze.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They serve free alcohol at the,
It's not free,
if
certain
you're
levels.
sponsor above, they
Right.
serve free alcohol there. So that entire con is 18 to 21 plus in certain parts of the hotel, just because it's an alcohol thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Legally, that's how they had to do it. And they do like special brews just for that convention. They have a brewmaster that does specialty drinks for the whole weekend, and it's good, I guess. I don't drink, so
That's decent.
I've heard it was pretty good if you drink.
Yeah, most panels will have lots of art, gaming, game shows, concerts, and we definitely encourage families to, find the things that everyone
Bonding.
would like. I remember some conventions, they have like miniature trains. This con has the car show.
Yeah.
There's so many different parts to the fandom, like enamel pin trading. I'm doing craft panels, stuff like that, where it's find something for everyone here or create that panel yourself. Because there will always be someone for that likes that kind of thing. So I know here we have a huge emphasis on cars.
Literally the reason that I was able, that I stayed in the fandom was because of Whose Line Is It Anyway? I'm a huge theater nerd. I was a huge fan of the show. And then the Alkali, who's the host of that, pulled me on stage for it and went, yes, these are my people. This is what I love. And if that comes with wearing a tail and ears sometimes, then so be it.
We've been trying to get rid of them ever since.
Me? I know.
And I think this is also the only convention that has a cake decorating competition in it.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes,
I
this
got
is
second
cake
place
decorating
last year.
competition. We, as a family though, we do some family-oriented programming, like we're doing color with confine, or coloring
Yeah,
with
color.
guest of honor.
I believe
Guest
it's
of honor.
coloring with confines.
Okay, and
I
my
don't know, I went back and forth.
youngest daughter here has drawn up specific things for that panel, and then you can come in and color. Then we're doing like little planets, little egg planets, because we're all about the eggs. We did the candy this morning, which is the bracelets,
I did my 3D printing panel.
3D printing panel. She's also going to do a fursuit, how to make a fursuit panel.
It's tips and tricks. Someone else has got that one.
Oh, you're just doing tips and tricks?
Yeah.
Okay, tips and tricks for that. What else are we doing? We got a lot, we're doing a lot.
I'll shoot him a text for you.
I got like 14 different panels I'm doing this week.
I think that's about it.
And that's it. Oh, bingo. Bingo's like our huge one. We, the last 3 years that we've done it here, we've had to actually turn people, we've had to turn people away because of the fire code.
And that's why you're in main events.
So we're in main events this year. We've upgraded.
Good luck with that next year status, because if we outgrow main events,
We're going to the parking lot.
Yay.
We will take this outside. I don't care. All but one of my panels are family friendly this year. Just the midnight show, but that one is never open.
Never.
Literally because it's my opportunity to drop F-bombs. But I'm running a concert that is entirely family friendly. I play all across the board of all different genres. I don't even know what other panels I'm running, but I know I'm running them.
I think I only have one 18+ panel, and that's sloshing for answers, and that's because other panelists will be drinking.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
big one.
I think that's it.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to either shout it out or if you have any questions based on the fandom or
I don't know if we'll get to everyone if they have questions.
You were so funny.
I know. It's so funny because I had this scheduled to be in Salon A or the executive board. I wanted this to be in a small panel room, and this is the only place I could find time for it. It was very weird. I did not expect a large turnout for this.
Frankly, I just really like the visual here.
Well, I don't know if we'll get to everyone at once.
Let's talk about parenting in the fandom.
Oh, also as a parent though, we do have some little responsibilities. If you see a fursuiter out there that is not like moving around, please go up and ask them if they're okay. Because we've had some people that have passed out in their suits. And, you know, if they've had some alcohol and they've dehydrated themselves, they could be having a heat stroke under that suit. So please, just
If they do not say yes or any iteration, clear iteration of yes, send
Get
someone
somebody.
to go get help.
It's easy for us to step in and we can talk about whatever for however long, but
yes.
I mean, I think you're right, a better thing to do is to see if anybody has anything to say about their experience growing up in the fandom, or questions they have about it, or questions about what you all experienced.
The only thing I can think of is that personally I don't know where I would be without Furry at this point.
Yeah, me too.
Because I spent the majority of my formative years in the fandom, so it's kind of like entirely shaped my personality and free time, or lack thereof.
We have no free time.
Yeah, I know how that
And I
goes.
think in some cases the furry can become like a second family
It
for
is a
many people.
Big family.
I'm sure you can see all of us have all of a sudden this amazing like just chemistry with how we talk to each other. So get out there and talk to people. I know a lot of it is that my mother was looking for other parents to talk to, other people like that, and you just form these beautiful relationships with people that just become a part of your.
Yeah, and when the chips are down, these people will help you up.
I can name like 5 people that I call either mom or dad more than I call my actual parents mom or dad in the fandom, and I think that's hysterical. Thanks, Dad. Are you proud of me?
Just because these people will have your back. And
What?
everything.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, these people have had your back, have had our backs at least when we were in our worst points.
Yeah.
And they are great to talk with. They're great. Yeah, they're just there when you need someone else. And I don't know, where do you think, how different would your life be without the fandom?
Oh, I was a miserable person.
Really?
Oh, yeah, back in
Talk about it a little bit.
2017, I was miserable.
Boozy, you had a weird introduction to the fandom.
Yeah, I did.
Do you want to talk about that a little
Not
bit?
really, no.
All right, understood. All right, so then how did it change who you were? How did it change how you were?
This,
not.
this has nothing to do with parenting in the fandom.
Okay.
I'm just generally more relaxed and happy person, but that's a huge difference between me coming into something when I'm younger, or my children coming into it young. Now, watching my children in the fandom has been interesting and fun.
Would you change anything now with how you introduced your family to this?
Oh, no, I did that perfectly. I just said, get in the car, we're going to see the furries. And then by the end of their first convention, 2 of my kids had multiple personas.
And we started a cult for one
Yeah.
of the kids.
Yeah, one of them started a cult.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something, Boozy. You didn't bring your kids into it immediately.
No.
Was there anything that you were genuinely concerned about exposing them to in Furry?
Like in anything else, well, I mean, nothing in furry that I wouldn't be genuinely concerned about exposing them to elsewhere.
Okay.
Is something
Fair.
that I will repeat, and that is important for parents to remember is, to pardon the language a little bit, a bag of shit doesn't stop being a bag of shit because it's wearing fox ears. A bad person outside of a fursuit is a bad person inside a fursuit. And you do have to be aware of that because, like every community of any size, there are going to be bad actors in the furry fandom. And as a parent, you do need to be aware of that. That is something that I will point out to parents, especially when they bring their kids to a con and I'm up at the bar and they're having a beer and I'm having a beer and they talk about, oh, my kid's here. And I'm like, well, where is your kid? Oh, well, they're at some panel over there. I'm like, yo, do you know the name of the panel? No. And you kind of want to say, you should follow that. You should at least make sure you know those things because it's not Disney World. It really isn't. These are
this is a large community of diverse people, and some of those diverse people are not good people. So as a parent, sometimes it can be easy to drop your guard as a parent. Just that natural guard that parents have, it can be easy to drop that. You can't. You do have to look around and make sure that you know that. Does that mean you have to follow your child every second of the day at the convention? Absolutely not. Same thing as if your kid's going out with friends on Friday night. Where are you going? Who are you going with? When are you going to be home? Okay. If I call, answer the phone.
I dropped the ball one time, and she ended up in a panel about math.
Advanced trigonometry.
That's my fault.
First squared,
That's my
advanced
fault.
trigonometry, and I was not happy when I found out what that was.
It was
Oh.
beer pong.
Yeah, and she sat there and actually did the
I was in pre-calc and trig at the time, and I was looking
did
for
the
homework
math of
help.
it.
They helped me with my homework. I'll give them that. And then they sent me out of the room so they could finish the beer pong.
So this is a completely unrelated tangent, but I did run a panel at IFC a couple of years ago along like the lines of Let's Get Physicals. That was actually supposed to be a panel on physics, and it kept getting rejected because it was getting compared to advanced trigonometry, and that's what they thought it was.
Oh,
But it was like, no, I actually wanted to go on stage and talk about math.
So parents, always read the
Read the panel description.
read the panel
They're there for a
description.
reason.
There's there for a reason, and it doesn't make sense. Ask someone.
Yeah, if the panel is at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night,
This was 11 o'clock.
it was 11 o'clock at night, and it was advanced trigonometry, and it was rated 18 plus.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
No, it
There
was
was
not.
no rating.
Okay, it was
That's why I let her go.
Any panel at 11 o'clock at night, as we were saying earlier, 9 o'clock should probably be the cutoff unless you were
Right.
going to be with them.
Yeah, unless you're going to be with them, don't let them go to anything
And
past 9
I want
o'clock.
to say, because I don't want to sound doom and gloom when I say that, the percentage of people that I have found that come to conventions that you should work is actually pretty small. This is by and large a welcoming community and a supportive community. It's more of a warning on that part. You know where your kid is, know what they're doing, and know who they're doing it with. But outside of that, most people are pretty good. If they're not appropriate for somebody under 18, most people are pretty good at keeping themselves away from somebody under 18.
Also, we have an extreme number of special needs people here too. They may seem awkward. They have very low interaction skills. They're good people, but they just
Come off.
come off kind of weird, but they're good people. I think they, when I saw the last thing, it was like 10% of the fandom is autistic. So, yeah. Sometimes they have problems interacting with people. They go too hard or they go too soft, and it's just them. So just kind of back off, let them, try to figure out what's going on, and then proceed with caution, because as I said, 10% of the people here are autistic. So
I mean this in the absolute politest way. Is it actually that low? I thought it was.
A lot higher.
the one I saw was from AnthrOhio, and it was the scientist that did the thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, you know those surveys you do at AnthrOhio?
Oh yeah, yeah.
He does a panel on that. He does a full panel on the
Which is, if you're a
results.
stats person.
So if you're a stats
I'm going to
person,
call
go
out
down.
this person right here. This is
Silver
Silver
Gatsumon.
Gatsumon. They are excellent. They have a YouTube channel where what they're doing right now is they're filming this panel. They film all the panels. If you're ever curious beforehand, like, oh, they really want to see this panel, I have no idea what it's about, look up Silver Gatsumon. They have
On
filmed
YouTube.
it, they have put it on YouTube, and you can sit there and watch it at whatever other show they want. They're awesome at doing it,
Yeah.
and I love
Thank you,
what
Silver.
you do.
Yes, thank you for what you do, genuinely.
Generally, you got us through some really dark times.
Yes.
That was actually a major part of the introduction for us in the fandom.
Yes.
Is when I was making my fursuits for the first time, all three of ours, I was literally surfing their YouTube channel, watching mostly Who's Line and story times with Kage and Alkali and all that stuff. So that was pretty much the backdrop of the beginning of our journey into the fandom, was his YouTube channel.
And every time we're stuck at a hospital, we're always watching Silver Gatomon's comedy just to kind of break the tension.
Yeah, a good portion of the views on their video is probably just us.
Yeah.
That's nice to know, thank you.
So is there any questions?
Comments, concerns?
Yes.
So I've never personally been at a convention under 18, but I've noticed in the past years a bit of a demographic shift. And I think it's just so great that people now are able to start that conversation with their families.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that in the past year that wouldn't have been socially acceptable. So I'm
Right.
pleased to see that change.
Right.
Yeah, the shift has been really nice.
It has been. Yeah. Yeah.
It
And
is.
we're so much more accepting of alternate lifestyles too. So,
That is partially in credit to TikTok and other social media platforms presenting a pretty good face for the fandom, so a lot more people are finding out about it. Like,
and Uncle Kage has done a lot
Yes.
for cleaning up. Yeah, Alkali too has done a lot for cleaning up the outside view of us. Because like if you go to AnthrOhio, they have a parade that is for the public. And like last year they did a street party for the entire city. Anybody could come. And
Still doing it. They're doing it again this year too.
are they doing it again
Yep,
this
they're
year?
doing
And it
Black
was
Friday
a
this year.
neat thing, you know, so you could interact with furries on a more
Personable.
Direct level. I mean,
direct level, yeah. And it has brought in a lot of people too.
AnthrOhio is in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh 4th of
Pennsylvania.
July weekend.
4th of July weekend,
It
yeah.
is the second or third biggest con in the world, I believe.
It's the second, and Midwest Fur Fest is the biggest in Chicago, which is our actual local con. We live like 45 minutes from Chicago, so.
Yeah, we're from that area. Also, we attend IndieCon, which is pretty family friendly.
It's a pretty good family-friendly
I
one.
like that one. That's in Indianapolis, Indiana. We attend MFF, which is
MFF.
just large. It's just large.
It's just large.
It's just
MFF.
large.
And it's kind of crazy because like I have my Fitbit on and I will clock like 6 miles during that convention
It is-
every day.
4.5 of those on the Sky Bridge alone.
It is a brutal convention if you are not in a good shape.
Yeah, it's large, but it's fun. It's just
It's fun, yeah. Yeah, but it's just like, oh, I have to go to the,
And as parents, I would say probably really focus in that your kids do eat 2 meals. They probably should be getting sleep. Make sure they take a shower. We call it 6-2-1. 6 hours of sleep, 2 real meals a day, and 1 shower. Also, they should be drinking water. And sometimes the kids get just so excited that
like I forgot to eat today. If my kid didn't tell me to eat, I would not have eaten.
Did you?
That's actually why I was late. I went to the
I did.
lounge to get some
You
food.
didn't.
And that is one big thing around here is over behind the bar, there is a lounge here with food, and they serve
Hot dogs?
usually hot dogs.
Hot dogs,
It's-
it's a bunch of like grab and go snacks. Well, I don't
Right.
think you're supposed to take them, but yeah, like chips and I think there's fruits and veggies and stuff, and
Yeah.
there's always water.
They do a really good job here
Yes.
with keeping us fed.
So
There's
just
also
make
the food
sure-
trucks.
And there's food trucks too.
Because you want to make sure your kids enjoy this first and foremost. You know, they're here to have fun, so you just kind of want to be like,
Make
hey,
sure they
have
eat.
you consumed calories today? Don't crack, because you know, if they're spending the whole weekend miserable because they haven't eaten, they haven't slept, maybe it's time to just step back and take a break.
Yeah, yeah. Gotta watch those kiddos.
It's definitely a party hard, but don't make your recovery even harder.
Yes,
Yes.
that's a
yeah.
good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, so I have a question generally down the board.
Okay.
Someone doesn't really understand what furry is. What is the first resource you point them to?
Uncle Kage.
Uncle Kage.
Uncle just
That's-
in general, Uncle Kage.
Yeah, that's who they started me with, was Uncle Kage.
Okay.
So this
So
is your
this is
first
your
furry
first-
con, was the one that I saw first. And then he had done, and I don't know where it is, but he had done this panel somewhere. that your kid drug you to a furry convention. And that was one of them that I saw first too, before we, so in my family, if you graduate high school, you can either have a $10,000 blowout party, or you can have a small little party and have a vacation. So where does my kid want to go? AnthrOhio. AnthrOhio. I wanted Disney, and she wanted AnthrOhio. So I'm like, oh, really? What is that about? You know, and that's when that whole conversation started. I'm like, well, let's go to one close to us first. And then we went to 8 more that year.
I have no regrets.
Have no regrets, actually, no regrets. I love these people. They are like the salt of the earth. I mean, I have seen more stuff than I probably never should have seen, but it's usually all for charity, so it's all good, right?
You know, these people are some of the most
Generous.
people you're ever gonna meet.
Funniest for sure.
Funniest
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
Yeah. And it's just been a really great experience being a mom in this community. And everybody comes up to me and says, "Hi, Mom!" and gives me hugs, and you know,
You are mom.
I'm everybody's
You're con
mom
mom.
here. I am con mom. I'm everybody's mom here. And I'm sitting there like, have you eaten? Even though today I wasn't doing too good at that, but you know, have you eaten?
The amount of times that you or one of your children has just come into one of my panels and handed me food because
Yeah.
you didn't have to ask. You know I haven't fed myself that day.
Yeah.
Yes, I have eaten before you ask.
Right.
But
We usually have a peanut butter and jelly bar going in our room, and Nutella.
it has come in handy.
A lot. At least get something down them.
We definitely graduated from the Uncrustable era. That was a time, and a very expensive one at that.
We would usually bring like the industrial size Uncrustables and start tossing them at people as quickly as we could. I mean, we've saved a lot of the people that are on stage with those peanut butter and jelly.
Yes, you
sandwiches.
have. More than once.
Weren't we debating on a t-shirt launcher for sandwiches at one point?
We were.
I wish I would have known. I would have made you shirts. I'll still make you shirts.
No. Just a launcher for sandwiches.
Oh, a t-shirt launch. Yes.
Sandwich
Yes.
launcher.
Yes.
Only it would be the sandwich luncher.
Oh my god.
We think way too much about this stuff. And usually most of the mischief is from us too, but we don't really want anybody to know that.
Yeah, I know you think way too much about this stuff. As I somehow became a cult leader to the worm on a string cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an adventure.
That's still living in our dining room. I have to live with that.
Oh, the giant worm.
I have 2 giant worms.
Well, we also have the Guardian from Furryality.
Oh my god.
Make that 3 giant worms.
Oh my god.
I have so many worms in my house. Way too many.
We have many lives.
Because I think the Guardian is like 10 feet long.
Yeah.
The worm on a string was 14
6
plus
per
the string. And then the other one's just a hand puppet, but it's still pretty
You
big
guys
for
are
a worm.
insane, and this is why you're guest of honor.
Yeah, it's definitely, cons are what you get in them, what you get out of them. And
What
if
you
you
put in
just
is
spend your
bad.
entire con in your room playing a video game and that's what you want to do, then okay. Maybe you try to find a couple friends to maybe play some games. But it's like, if you start going to panels and you meet people, don't overdo it, but you'll definitely start to find,
Your niche, your friend group, your
yeah.
people.
And as I said earlier, like finding things that the entire family enjoys. I know some cons, Indy always does this model train thing because it's a group of parents that have all gotten together and been like, we all like model trains. So they bring this entire model train set and they build it together like over the course of 3 hours. This one, the car show was originally started because we had someone who used to work on the Indy 500 and he wanted to show off.
He still does.
So it's like finding things.
There's
for
a
everyone.
group that of furries that actually fly, are pilots that fly from different conventions to conventions, and then they all like gang up, and yeah.
And this is kind of a general rule of thumb. If there's something you want to see on the schedule, and you have an insane idea, or you want to meet people in the community and know that other people exist, submit a panel. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking that risk. The absolute worst that can happen is
They say no.
we say
because
no.
Too many panels.
And as the person who puts the schedule together, I think I only declined like 6 panels this year. So if you have an idea, let me know. And I'm sure if there's enough of a demand for it, I mean, do it. We have, this weekend alone, I know we have a vinyl meet and greet. We have, oh God, we have candy making and stuff from you guys.
There's the rave fur meet and stuff like that.
We have someone who created their own, I believe it's video game, and is doing a meet and greet for it. Just crazy things. I mean, it's great. I've run a Weird Al panel before because Weird Al's my thing, and I wanted to meet other Weird Al fans. And sure enough, packed a room. You know, it's those kind of things. Like, yeah, furry is the basis, but that's the basis. Grow off of that and find people who also like the similar things.
Find your people.
Find your people.
There's also one that's not happening this weekend, but there is a first responders EMS meet
Yes.
sometimes,
Yeah.
as well as historical reenactment sometimes.
Yep.
Yep.
And those are usually run by the parents as well.
Yes.
I mean, we started doing bingo at conventions. We thought, oh, like 3 people will show up. No, we have had to the last 3 years
Turn
people away.
I think our lowest attendance for that panel was like 10 people.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
that
it's
was not
not
even for
so-
that panel. That was for Candyland.
Even then, that's still a decent
Still
turnout. For
pretty-
what it is, it's still a decent
Right.
turnout.
Right.
And yeah, it might be like,
I don't think we've
I
ever
don't
had
know,
less
for
than 30
parents.
people.
I don't know what I'm saying.
But it's a good, you know, family. It's a good family activity.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah.
What, I'll ask this kind of similar. We said Uncle Kage, but Boozy, if you were to tell a parent, give parent resources to learn about the fandom, what resource would you give them, or what site would you kind of point the parent to?
I mean, honestly, Kaki's a pretty good one.
Yeah, Kage was a good answer.
That's why I didn't jump in.
I have kind of a weird, obscure resource, which is, there is a video that came out in 2019, I believe February of 2019, that is, I Spent a Day with Furries. It was by Anthony Padilla, who is a YouTuber who does a lot of like these kind of interview shows of like, I mean, he's done anything from I spent a day with like felons to I spent a day with, I don't know, whatever, innocent things. But he did one that was I spent a day with furries. So what's interesting about this is he goes about this interview without judgment, but still asks the questions that might come up. And the 4 furries that he mentioned were from all different sides of the fandom. So they had the fursuit maker. They had the, I'm just here because I enjoy the community and want to attend conventions. There was the person who makes their entire career doing furry art. Kind of just all that general section, but it's done in a way that is both informative and comedic at the same time. So you're engaged, but it's not in a sense that it is making fun of furries. It is more in a sense of these are things that furries can also laugh at about themselves. And it's like a 15-minute video. Usually if people have, like, not legitimate questions, but just more so in the sense of they want to get an idea of what this community involves in, that's the video that I point them to first.
And if you have any questions that you don't want to talk about in public, take me aside and ask me. I will be completely honest with you. Good, bad, and the ugly, I will tell you. So
I will as well. From the perspective of growing up in the fandom, I can also answer a lot of questions about the good, the bad, the ugly, the wonderful, the beautiful, the gross, the disgusting.
Yeah. And if you get too popular, they're going to put pies in your face.
Listen, I asked for your consent and you did not grant them, so you're not getting a pie to the face, all right? Consent is important, kids.
Consent is important.
I do actually have one more video that I would probably recommend, which was we infiltrated a furry convention and had a great time by Strange Eons, something like that. It was very well done. It was normies going to a furry convention with no like specific agenda, just to see what it was like, and yeah, that one was a good one too. Not necessarily for like initial, but an extra resource would probably be a good one.
Exactly. Yeah. We got about 15 minutes left. Do you have any bases that we haven't covered?
Any questions that we haven't?
Questions, comments, concerns? Of course. No, thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here.
This
You're the
was-
superhero.
Yeah, exactly.
Being brave enough to come to a furry convention after all of the bad press that we've had. You are the superhero here.
Thanks for taking a chance on us.
Take
Let
a
me
chance on
ask
us.
real quick, is that your child with you? Yeah. Is this your first time at a con?
First time at a furry con.
Okay, Dad, is this your first one? Yeah. Oh, good, so you're familiar with us being weird. I like that.
That was how I got my head wrapped around it. It's like, it's just calls.
Well,
I
and-
get calls.
And that's a word, because the furry fandom and the furry convention was actually born out of comic and sci-fi and fantasy conventions. AnthrOhio, which I think is now the second largest, but for
Might even be
years
third.
was the largest furry convention in the world. Was actually born out of a science fiction and fantasy convention called PhilCon in Philadelphia. And the funny animal track got so large that they decided, okay, you've got to have your own con now. So it really is, there's a lot of crossover between the communities, and many
Right.
times the same rules that you're going to find in an anime or a comic or a science fiction fantasy convention are going to apply to furry just the same.
I think that's how Furryality got its start too.
Yes, yeah, actually they were a steampunk convention at one time. Well, they don't exist anymore because of things, but
Because of stuff and things.
If you want to know why
COVID.
they don't exist, come to Convention War Stories tonight. Their chairman's on the panel with me.
oh, nice. Poker's here today. Yeah, I saw him.
Yeah, he
just
just
a
got
brief
here a little
second.
ago.
He ran in and ran out. It's last night's panel.
We were in the middle of coloring a compact.
Yeah.
Won't get the last half of it.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess that's it. We ended 10 minutes early.
Yay!
Cool.
I have presents for everybody, so don't run out.
I'm going to run out.
My superhero stuff.
Yeah, and again, feel free to stop us if you have any questions afterward that are brewing, or, it's stuff that you don't want to necessarily ask in front of an audience. Like, most of us, I don't dare say all of us, are a fairly open book. We're more than happy to tell you about our experiences and answer anything that we can to the best of our abilities.
Let me put it this way, if you catch me in the hallway, especially as a parent, and you have a question, I will not put lipstick on the pig. At least not in answering you. This is a furry convention and anything could happen, so.
Yes.
I think next in this room, we have Giza the White Mage, formerly of AnthrOhio, giving a talk about how to start a furry convention.
Yep.
Formerly of AnthrOhio. I still staff.
You still staff, but you're not on the board anymore.
Yeah, I was on for 15 years. I was
Citrine is next door in concert.
Yeah.
Going on right
I'm
now.
looking at the wrong thing.
And that will be followed by what, Convention War
Convention War
Stories?
Stories is directly after it.
Dad, if this is your first time at a furry convention, there's a wonderful improv game at 6:30 that's open to all ages. It's going to be run by Status First, our programming lead, as well as Iggy, who's one of the regular performers, called Whose Line Is It Anyways, where they encourage the audience to participate in improv games. So that's a fun one.
It was a very fun one.
Yep. Otherwise, thank you.
Have a good convention. Enjoy.
All right.
Silver Gattoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gattoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gattoman, you video that's not a jibe. all of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.